If you've got to teach an idea to a room full of people and you aren't certain what they know, concreteness is the only safe language. Hi, my name is Nancy Hardcastle. I'm a speech coach, and my mission is to help public speakers stand up, be great, and create radical change in the world. Today is the third in my series, which I call 5 Minutes to Great, in which I teach you in just 5 minutes something that will be helpful in your public speaking endeavors. Today I'm going to be talking about one way that you can make your message more memorable. I owe my information to this book called Made to Stick. I highly recommend it. I will put the title and authors in the description of the video. They run through 6 different ways that will help to make a message more memorable. I'm only going to be talking about one of them today, specifically being concrete. So I'm going to give you an example of that, and then I'm going to talk to you about the benefits of using that kind of language, being concrete. So let's imagine that I start a speech with a story, which I highly recommend, and I'm describing a woman, and I say that she lived in poor conditions. Everybody who's listening to this talk is going to have a different idea, because the term poor conditions is pretty general. But if I said the floor of her home was dirt, she didn't have running water, and her roof was made out of corrugated metal, now we get the picture. Now we understand what kind of poverty she was living in. Let me give you another example. If I said this woman was living in poor conditions, the plaster in her apartment was falling off in places. The water that came out of her tap was brown sometimes, and her electricity was spotty. 2 different pictures of poverty. They're both really specific though, right? So now our audience is on the same page with us when we're imagining what it means for this woman to be living in poor conditions. Using that kind of concrete language has some benefits. The first one is that it's more memorable. So that image of perhaps the plaster falling off or her having to go get water is going to stick in your audience's mind, which is big. Second thing is that whatever goal you're trying to get across in your message is going to be clearer with concrete language. For example, if I expressed to the audience that my goal was to eliminate hunger in Baltimore among the most vulnerable population. It's a good goal, right? Of course, we would all want to eliminate hunger, but the idea of eliminating hunger is not that specific. And also we might wonder, well, who exactly are the vulnerable people, the most vulnerable population? So it's hard for me to get a picture because it's kind of this abstract, amorphous language. But if you change that goal and you said, we want to ensure that every child in Baltimore receives 3 solid meals a day. Now, I imagine a child sitting down to breakfast, sitting down to lunch and dinner, and we all know what a solid meal looks like, right? And so if you are trying to get me on board to achieve that goal, I'm really clear now what the goal is. Those 3 solid meals, I can easily picture them. So the third benefit of being more concrete is that it creates what the authors of this book call a shared turf. It's simply the idea that we're all speaking the same language, which means we can move forward together toward a common goal. It's similar to that idea of we're on the same page. I'm sure you've worked in a team where it felt like what they were trying to achieve and what you were trying to achieve were 2 different things. Probably had something to do with the lack of concreteness in the expression of a goal. It looks like I'm out of time. Thank you so much for joining me. If you found this helpful, share it with somebody else, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.